Why does a man suddenly pull away, stop texting, take longer to reply, or act like you don't exist anymore, even though everything felt fine just days ago? Here's the truth most women never hear. When a man ignores you, it's rarely about you doing something wrong, and almost always about what's happening inside his psychology. Today I'm going to explain exactly why men ignore, what it really means, and how this changes your power completely. If you've ever stared at your phone wondering why he hasn't replied, replayed your last message in your head, or felt that quiet anxiety growing in your chest, you're not alone. Ignoring behavior triggers one of the deepest fears in humans, abandonment. And men know this, consciously or unconsciously. But here's what changes everything. When you understand the psychology behind ignoring, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. Let's start with the most important thing you need to hear right now. A man ignoring you does not automatically mean he lost interest. That belief is one of the biggest traps women fall into. Men don't process emotions, stress, attraction, or bonding the same way women do. When a woman feels connection, she wants to move closer. When a man feels emotional pressure, even positive pressure, his instinct is often to move away. This brings us to the first psychological reason men ignore: emotional overload. When a man starts feeling something real, something deeper than casual interest, his nervous system can interpret it as a loss of control. Men are wired to value autonomy, competence, and independence. Strong emotions threaten that internal balance, so instead of leaning in, many men pull back to regulate themselves. Ignoring becomes a way to breathe. This is why ignoring often happens right after intimacy increases, after a deep conversation, after amazing chemistry, after sex, after you opened up. From the female perspective, this feels confusing and even cruel. From the male psychological perspective, it's self-protection. The second reason men ignore is power dynamics. And this one is uncomfortable but crucial to understand. Attention is power. The person who cares less controls the pace. When a man senses that you are emotionally invested, checking your phone, responding fast, adjusting your behavior, some men subconsciously pull away to rebalance the dynamic, not because they don't like you, but because they don't want to feel chased or needed. This doesn't make him evil, it makes him human. Desire grows in space, not in pressure, and silence creates space. Now let's talk about a reason most women don't want to admit. Sometimes ignoring is a test. Men test attraction differently than women. Women often test verbally or emotionally. Men test through distance. When he ignores you, part of his mind is watching. Will she panic? Will she chase? Will she explode? Or will she remain calm, confident, and emotionally stable? Your reaction tells him everything he needs to know about your self-worth. This leads us to something very important. Ignoring is not what determines whether he respects you. Your response to being ignored does. If you double text, explain yourself, ask what you did wrong, or try to fix something that was never broken, you communicate low emotional boundaries. If you disappear emotionally, stay grounded, and continue living your life, you communicate value. Men don't fall in love with women who chase clarity. They fall in love with women who feel emotionally safe and self-contained. Another psychological reason men ignore is avoidance attachment. Some men want connection but panic when it becomes real. These men crave intimacy but fear dependence. Ignoring is their push-pull cycle. When you're close, they disappear. When you pull away, they come back. This is why some men resurface after days or weeks of silence like nothing happened. In their mind, nothing did happen. They regulated themselves, regained emotional control, and now they're back. Here's where many women sabotage themselves. They confront him emotionally the moment he returns. Why did you ignore me? That hurt me. You can't do that. While these feelings are valid, timing is everything. Confrontation during re-engagement often pushes him away again, not because he doesn't care, but because he associates emotional intensity with loss of freedom. Now let's address the hardest truth. Sometimes a man ignores because he is not choosing you, and this is where clarity becomes empowerment. If a man consistently ignores, disappears, makes no effort, and shows no curiosity about your life, this is not psychology, it's priority. And chasing someone who has emotionally exited only drains your energy. But here's the mistake women make. They personalize rejection. They think, I wasn't interesting enough, I said the wrong thing, I wasn't pretty enough. None of that is true. Attraction is not about performance, it's about alignment. A man can ignore a woman who is objectively amazing simply because he is emotionally unavailable or focused elsewhere. Your worth does not decrease because someone cannot meet you emotionally. Now let's talk about what actually works when a man ignores you. Not manipulation, not games, psychological alignment. The first rule is emotional neutrality. Do not mirror his withdrawal with panic. Do not send long messages. Do not demand explanations. Silence is not a problem that needs fixing. It's information. The second rule is consistency. Stay consistent in who you are. If you were warm before, stay warm without overgiving. If you were calm, stay calm. Emotional consistency builds trust in men more than intensity ever will. The third rule is self-focus. The moment you redirect energy back to your life, your body language shifts, even digitally. Men feel when a woman is centered in herself. That energy is magnetic. And here's the paradox most women miss. The less you react to ignoring, the more meaningful your presence becomes. Now let's reframe ignoring entirely. Ignoring is not always rejection. It is a signal, a pause, a psychological reset. The question is not, why is he ignoring me? The real question is, what does my reaction say about how I see myself? When you stop chasing answers, answers come to you. Let's talk about texting specifically because this is where anxiety explodes. Texting is not connection, it's logistics. Men bond through shared experiences, not constant messaging. A man can care deeply and still be terrible at communication. Judging interests solely by texting frequency is a modern trap. What matters more is consistency over time. Does he show up when it counts? Does he invest effort when present? Or is it all empty words? If a man ignores you but shows up later with action, that's different from a man who ignores and never follows through. Here's another psychological layer. Men often compartmentalize. Stress at work, financial pressure, family issues. Many men withdraw completely rather than share vulnerability. Silence becomes their coping mechanism. This doesn't excuse emotional neglect, but it explains behavior. Healthy masculinity is not about never pulling away. It's about returning with clarity. So what should you do when he ignores you? You pause, you breathe, you observe. You do not collapse emotionally. You do not chase. You let his behavior reveal his capacity. Confidence is quiet. Desperation is loud. And finally, here's the most empowering truth of all. When a man ignores you, it gives you information before it gives you pain, information about his emotional maturity, his attachment style, his priorities, his readiness. Ignoring doesn't diminish you, it filters. The right man will not leave you guessing about your place in his life. Temporary space is normal, chronic confusion is not. So the next time he goes silent, don't ask, what did I do wrong? Ask, is this the level of emotional availability I want in my life? Because the moment you stop fearing silence is the moment you regain control, not over him, but over yourself. And that is where real attraction begins.